Welcome to Keystone Conversations, our podcast on the topics and issues important to the Keystone family. Our hope is to give insight, wisdom, and resources as you press on to know and follow Jesus. I'm Randy Woodbury, the executive pastor here at Keystone. With me, Brent Minter, our lead pastor.
Good to see you, Randy. Good to be here. Good to hang out a little bit.
It's always a pleasure and a joy. And we just finished the annual rite of passage in America called the Super Bowl. And
Dun, dun, dun.
It is the epitome of success for American football. So we thought it'd be good to debate the halftime. Kidding. We're not going to debate the halftime shows. Although we should spend a whole podcast about real football, European or Premier League.
For the rest of the world,
Yes.
Football is soccer.
Yes.
And you know,
Correct.
I appreciate the soccers.
You do. And I appreciate you don't harass me for the soccer either. But as I watched the game last night, it's always interesting to see. I always enjoy at the end of championship games, regardless of the sport, watching the players, the coaches, the families, whomever, react to just, achieving the very goal they have spent.
They're life chasing.
I mean, in actuality, months because of the season, but you're right, years that saying, hey, validates
Yeah.
them.
I grew up when the Cowboys were good, and that's been many decades.
50 years ago?
Yeah, many decades.
Actually, that's not that far.
Oh yeah, it's closer than 20. Yeah. So, and as a little boy, I was Troy Aikman throwing
Good call.
like Super Bowl touchdowns, or you were Michael Irvin trying to catch the Super Bowl touchdown. Like in your mind, as a little trash kid
Yes.
at football, you're still dreaming of the Super Bowl. So imagine those with real talent who've really sacrificed their life. I can't imagine.
And as a lifelong Viking fan, you're welcome for all the draft picks we gave you for Herschel Walker that allowed you to draft virtually every one of those players.
Take that.
You're welcome.
Take that.
But as I was watching that last night, it wasn't hard to get reminded of Tom Brady, Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
Patriots played last night. But he had this famous quote back, it's 20 years ago now, but it was very interesting. So this is a famous 60-minute interview he said, and it kind of popped because it was a rare occurrence where he would kind of speak, I don't want to say authentically like he was inauthentic, but he was really good at the media game, and so he knew the right answers.
Yeah.
And he was talking about success, and he was questioned about it because at that point, I believe he'd won 3 Super Bowls. And this is what his quote said. He says, "Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think there's something greater out there for me? It's got to be more than this."
Mm.
And I mean, just a stark, vulnerable statement, honest statement, which was great. And probably the reason it was so stark to people is because it's so true.
Yeah.
You can, it doesn't have to be Super Bowls, but there's moments in life where you just say, you get what you achieved for, and you say, hey, that's it. That's what success looks like. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about redefining success and what that means.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a way to think about it, Randy, in terms of like when you reach the penultimate. But I'm not aware of anyone in Keystone. We're just normal people in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, in the middle of the heartland. But we all have successes we're going after. We
Right.
still wrestle. Is this all there is? Or should I be investing this amount of time and energy and resource? And so ours isn't the Super Bowl, but we are still wrestling with this question of success, especially in our city. Our city is a very successful city.
So let's start at the foundations here. As you think through this, we'll get a little more metaphysical, then we'll get a little practical. But just where does this all come from? Where does this tension about, how to define success? What am I supposed to feel like? What am I supposed to achieve? However you define success, where does that ultimately tension come from?
The answer is it's a wide conversation.
Sure.
I think let's just talk about it in probably 2 ways.
Okay.
First is like outside influences.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're 10 years old, still on the recess playground trying to throw a Super Bowl in your mind, a Super Bowl touchdown. So when you're 10 years old, outside influences are helping you think about what success looks like. Your friends, what do your friends say success is like?
Right.
It looks like, you get a little older and you start dreaming a little more and more, you have more media influences. You have more influencer influences.
Right.
And all of a sudden, from the outside, what other people say, all of a sudden, if we're not careful, it becomes the script in our brain.
You're right.
It
That's right.
just categorically becomes like, here I am in midlife crisis, not midlife crisis, midlife world. I'm not in a crisis.
Right.
And all of a sudden, what's success for a guy in his getting to be his upper 40s? What that success is so different than the 20s. Like the mid 40s are, have you got a plan for retirement? How are your kids doing? Are my kids successful? Did I do good raising them as a kid? And so all these outside influences tell me whether I'm being successful or not.
Let me tell you a fun one because it just reminded me. It stays with our football theme. 6th grade, Randy. My influence and my success definition was if I could play on the jock team at recess for football.
Yeah.
Now, let me be clear about this. I was not normally got to play on that team.
Okay.
But if enough people were sick,
oh, let's go.
There was an outside shot.
You could slide in.
Play third receiver on the A team.
Yeah.
That's success.
Yeah.
And it happened like twice and then never really happened again. But isn't it funny how those things just...
It is, but you get into your 20s and all of a sudden all your peers are getting jobs that make a lot of money. And you've not checked in with yourself and you're with God, but all of a sudden you think success looks like that you have this job or this house.
And the ability to see and judge that has never been easier because, and this is where we'll probably talk about this at various times, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You now go on and see curated likenesses of what success is supposed to look like, where I didn't have that shoved in my face all the time.
Yeah.
It was hard to see.
Yeah, and I feel like even now, there's so many ways that when we talk about social media and influencers, one of the reasons it can be really tough is people like there's a feed telling you where you should be, how much you should have saved, how you should be as a parent. There's outside influences constantly trying to tell us whether we're success. And here's the thing, the reason we're talking about this is if you have a real conversation, most people feel like they're failing a lot. And it's because the volume of outside influences are high in us. So that's outside.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Because what's the biggest outside influence of the Super Bowl is always what the 30-second spot costs.
Yeah.
Do you know what the 30-second spot cost this year? I looked it up.
I have no clue. It's in the millions.
$8 million.
$8 million.
For a 30-second spot this year.
Unbelievable.
And the reason they pay is because the math works.
Yeah. The exposure's out of control.
Yep. So that just shows what you have to deal with. But that's not the only influence. As you think about it, you said there's two.
Yeah, so there's the outside influences, what people say we should be. But then there's also some significant inside influences, the internal influences in our brains. And this is, Randy, this is where sin starts grabbing hold of us, right? And certainly we're trying to expose misdirected success ideas right now. But man, a lot of times our definition of success is, I mean, think of it, back to football. If I played good, my dad would treat me and teach me with respect. So because I have a desire for my dad to approve of me or my parents to approve of me, success is getting on the varsity high school football team. That's not what I want. It's not what I love, but it's how, if I do it, then I get all sorts of recognition, etc. And so that's like a childhood story, a childhood wound.
Right.
But then there's all sorts of ways that goes sideways with adults. Like, let's talk about, I said midlife crisis accidentally a little bit ago.
Right.
But the joke is that a guy has a midlife crisis and all of a sudden he goes and buys a sports car so he can be seen with a lot more.
Right. Young again.
He's young again. He wants the young girl. Like all those are broken because there's something broken inside of us that says it's not working. I need to do something to become a success. And almost all of those are broken, idolatrous, internal things where we just are broken and have a view of success that is actually not right, but it's living inside of us, whether through sin patterns or through different narratives of our lives.
And I think as we talk about this, the thing that we always remind people is when we talk about outside influences or inside influences, people quickly think of shame and that. But actually what we're just saying at this point is understand and identify those influences as you process these through the Word of God.
Yeah.
Because I think not knowing those or ignoring them at the worst is so detrimental and harmful.
It's being unaware.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always fight them. If you live in this world, you're going to hear voices of this world. Listen, our sin, idolatrous nature is always within inside of us. So it's always going to be there. Be aware of it.
Right.
Be aware of it.
So I thought we're actually going to give some warning signs of how to navigate this. But before we do that, we thought it'd be helpful just to take a step back, give a reminder of some of the biblical concepts you see around this concept. Because if you go look at your favorite translation of the Word of God, you're not going to see the word success in there a lot.
Maybe it's because we're into the first century and Americans in the 21st century are overwhelmingly.
In fact, if you want to put homework aside of it, go look how many times success is used.
Yeah. But our culture is driven off of success.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now
that's why we're having this conversation.
Correct. But the word the Bible uses a lot is contentment.
Okay.
And so just some reminders as we set the stage of warning signs, and you know these well, but just 1 Timothy 6:6-8, for godliness with contentment is great gain. Okay. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out. If we have food and clothing, we will be content with those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't like the first one. It's too challenging. Pricks the heart too much.
Yeah.
I hope the next ones are easier. So let's go to Hebrews 13:5. Keep your life free from the love of money. Be satisfied with what you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you or abandon you. Okay, that one's just as hard.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry about money. Like, your greatest gain, your greatest success is that you cannot be separated from the love of God.
So food and clothing, be content, be satisfied. Maybe Philippians 4:11 will help me. I don't say this out of need, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I find myself in. Okay, I certainly don't like that one.
Yeah.
And we're purposely doing this from a lighthearted, but you get through the toughness of life, the down parts of life, the crisis that come. Philippians 4:11 is hard, very hard. Be content in whatever circumstance. And then last, Proverbs 14:30, a tranquil heart, great word, by the way, don't use that enough in my life. A tranquil heart is life to the body, but jealousy is rottenness to the bones. Oof.
Yeah.
Some
here,
good verses, but tough verses.
So this is really important, Randy, when we're talking about success versus contentment here.
Mm-hmm.
I already hear people listening to this go, well, wait a minute.
Right.
Are we supposed to steward with excellence and honor God with all of our things? Yes. Yes. Go read the parable of the talent. That's not this conversation.
Right.
This conversation is not stewardship. It's confusing success versus contentment and finding where our true success is, which is being content in the Lord.
It's a great reminder. Great reminder. So with that as our backdrop, let's go to the practical. Let's get some warning signs. What are some ways that as you look at your life, as the Holy Spirit looks into your heart, what are some of the ways that you might see you might be confusing success and contentment? And the first one that comes to mind is this concept of time.
Yeah.
The wrong time frame.
Yeah.
Walk me through what you think of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip this because you talk a lot about this, Randy. But what we're talking about is you have the wrong time frame. Is if you're only thinking the here and now and today, you are prone to go to success of this world.
That's right.
But if we begin to think of an eternal time frame, at the end of the day, when we go to be with the Lord, right? I mean, one of the joys of being a pastor is getting to do so many funerals because you are reminded every time you do one, what happens today, like it is fleeting. Like,
think of the paradox that he just said there. Don't miss it. The joy of being a pastor, is doing funerals.
Yeah, because you get to see, this is going away, like way more than the average person. And so, if we miss up those time frames. And we're not living for eternity, but we're living for only the here and now. If we are living for the here and now, and that's the only view you have, you will not be content because there's going to be seasons in our lives where you don't have the job, you don't have the money, you don't have the position, you don't have the girl, the boy, whatever it is. If it's here and now, there's a lot of ways to be unsuccessful. But if we're building for eternity, all of a sudden, eternal values. Christ's kingdom comes into mind, and success more like contentment with what he's given us and being satisfied with him. So that's it's super practical, but it feels not practical. But I think the reason it feels not practical is because we're so close to the here and now that we don't think about eternity.
It's one of the more countercultural things that you could pursue.
Yeah.
And by us seeing immediate gratification, there is a concept of I want to be gratified right now, right? Dopamine and all that. That's part of it. But I think you could just expand that and say, listen, in a God eternal concept, immediate gratification is this life.
That's right.
And so, you think back to a James 4:14 concept about you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, for you're like a vapor that appears for a little while then vanishes. And the first reading of that, it feels really nihilistic and like, oh man, this is worthless.
Yeah.
But it's actually freeing.
Yeah.
To say, listen, what we can comprehend on a time continuum is because of our human capabilities. God has eternity, which we will spend with him if you've called him as Savior.
Yep.
And this is what we can do some things toward that eternity, not just for the here and now. It's a countercultural concept.
It's a counterculture, and nowhere outside of Christianity will push you to think this way.
That's right. That's right.
Humanism,
Nope.
It's here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Secularism, here and now, because there's nothing to
Mm-hmm.
come. I even think of other world religions, even like Eastern meditation and Zen and Buddhism is about how to deal with here and now. Now they do have afterlife, and most Zen Buddhists aren't thinking in terms of nirvana.
But there's a connective theology through that as well.
Yeah. So, but Christianity calls you and says, listen, you are an eternal being with a temporary earthly suit on called flesh.
Right.
And so our ultimate hope is eternity. It is not to land, like we can land the right job, have the right money, but that's not our ultimate goal. And when we start only thinking about the here and now, Randy, the likelihood of having kingdom successes radically diminishes. But if we look up with our life and say, God, I am an eternal being with a temporary assignment on earth, and I want to glorify you now in something that gives honor to you and your kingdom, all of a sudden the opportunities for biblical success is radically increasing.
I'm going to steal a recent example, and I apologize because we didn't really talk about this, but we've all had these moments in your life where you take a step back from when you have that moment and you say that was an eternal moment.
Yeah.
And it can be different things for different people. This situation I was in a conversation with my family at the kitchen table, and there was just a clicking of joy, topic, attitudes at the time, the inner relations, and it didn't even matter what we were talking about. It was relationships that were happening there. And afterwards, it was one of the most joyous moments of the last decade.
Yeah.
Nothing was won.
Yeah.
Didn't earn anything. Nothing was in the bank account. But that moment, I do believe, had eternal value in it.
Yeah.
That we'll look back on in some way. And again, these are tough concepts to grasp sometimes practically, but they can be life-changing when you do it.
I love it. I mean, it's a beautiful example of it's not just heaven with streets of gold, right? It's eternal relationships, and you're making a great point.
So that's a time frame concept. So that's something, a warning sign. Checking your time frame. Here's another warning sign, which we labeled expecting good things to be ultimate things. And
ouch.
It's a hard one, and we worded it carefully because expecting good things are good things. They're inherently good. We're not going to tell you they're bad, but it's when you switch the role to become ultimate things, then everything falls apart. And we can think of a lot of examples of these.
Yeah. I mean, we brainstormed really easily on this. And I think this is really important because it's at the end of 1 Timothy where Paul's talking to Timothy and he tells him how to deal with the rich people in his church. Timothy's the pastor of Ephesus. Ephesus is a huge trade city. So apparently there's some people with some significant resource that Timothy is discipling and is in his church. And Paul, I'm trying to not quote it here because I'm blanking the quotation, but he basically says, teach the rich in this world, right?
Right.
How to be rich.
Right.
He's like, they don't have to despise everything.
Right.
They don't have to sell everything.
No.
But he's like, they need to be rich really good, which means sharing with others, right? So, especially in Ankeny, the people who are listening to this podcast, most of the people in Ankeny are at a different income level than the rest of the nation. Not everyone, and that depends on your age, but our city is more affluent than the vast majority of the United States, let alone the world. And so the issue is, how then in the world do we look and sit in our median income homes of $350,000, right?
That's accurate. Yep.
Okay. And not try to get distracted about what is good. So here's a great example. Our homes are good things. And the American dream certainly includes the house of your liking.
Been there for a while.
Okay.
5, 6, 7 decades.
It's what's there. Okay.
Yep.
So a home is a good thing. A nice home can be a good thing. It cannot be an ultimate thing.
That's right.
So there's nothing wrong with wanting a house. There's something broken and sinful about thinking that a house is an ultimate thing that's going to make you successful.
That's right.
And I think that the vast majority of people, listen to this, we'll talk about this in a little bit, would say that, but yet still in our hearts, we're thinking about our homes only in the here and now and not in eternal realities.
That's exactly right.
So before we go to the other examples, I once heard a guy said, your home is the most under-leveraged tool you have for the kingdom of God. And I was like, what in the world are you talking about? He was like, you inviting people into your home is one of the most Christian things you could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
Strangers, like believers, welcoming people into your home, serving them a meal, like is one of the most godly things. Like that is some of the best discipleship conversations I've had is in the upper room of my house. Like it's just incredible. So a home can be a good thing, but if it's like on your like, I've now made it, you're treading in bad waters. Now you give some more examples.
Yeah, do you think of that? And I think we'll go down this continuum where you're most people will agree, like, and be non-ahead along as we say these: home, hobby. Oh yeah, I get it. Now we're getting the harder ones that will probably cause people to pause and want to actually talk back to what they're doing. Physical health.
Man,
you know what? You might not realize it until you don't have it.
Yep.
How much faith you have in your physical health.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And the spaces that I live in, physical health is a good thing, but it can become an idol.
Yeah. And it could be on both ends. It could be, I am the greatest
yes.
of insert whatever skill.
Yep.
Or it could be, God hasn't given me good health, and there's no reason to continue.
That's exactly right.
And we have seen people who are faithful at both ends of those spectrums.
Yeah. And like, here's the thing. I know people who have stewarded their body well and died of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I know unrighteous people who smoke cigar and drink whiskey to drunkenness every day, and they live into their hundreds, right? Sure. You're like, who knows what, like, in this body? But the answer is, in our physical body, it's a good thing. We should steward it. But in our modern culture, the amount of money spent for personal care and health that is just for vanity is out of control. It might be one of the biggest idols in our community.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Or I don't have that in my physical health.
And I'm somehow less than.
And I'm less than. And I'm not. And now my identity is not found in Christ. It's in my body.
It breeds insecurity, anxiety, stress.
All
tension,
the things, right? And so again, there's a stewardship for sure with our body. You can go. We've preached a sermon about this.
There you go.
Okay. But we can take a good thing, which is physical health, and make it an ultimate thing. And because we try to pursue it, or we feel less than because we're not there, that's a terrible way to deal with it.
So let's increase the tension a little bit more. Because now let's talk about job and career.
Come on.
Okay. And let's just start with some stats here. So there's a study a couple years ago from Gallup, and it found that as income rises, people actually start redefining. We talk about redefining success.
Oh, man.
They redefine the American dream.
Yep.
And that is, it goes from, hey, I just want stability. I just want to have enough to survive.
Yep.
And the true question they ask themselves is, I start defining it as opportunity. I want the power to do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of travel, freedom of time, freedom of what is perceived as anxiety and worry.
Yep.
I just need to get a little bit more I read a Rockefeller quote, something about what does it mean to be rich, and it just means
One
a little
word.
bit more
Oh, yeah.
than I have now, which is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great quote.
Yeah.
But if you think back to Ankeny, and what you said in terms of it isn't just defined about luxury, it's also defined, well, I just want the best for
Yeah.
my spouse, my friends, my
Yeah.
children. And it quickly becomes very muddled and very
Man.
difficult to talk about with people. All those are good things.
Yep.
Succeed in your job, get a promotion, do whatever.
That's
They're
a good
not
thing.
ultimate things. And I don't think we ask ourselves that question enough.
Yeah. I mean, I want to high five anyone who, if you get a raise or you get a job promotion, I want to high five you. I'm proud of you. I believe we've preached on work.
Yep.
You should do incredible work.
Creation mandate.
That's right. If you are a believer and you're not your manager's best employee, I would tell you that you're missing an opportunity to give.
I almost said shame on you, but
I know.
there's at least worth a conversation.
Yeah. I don't know your situation because some places are terrible to work out.
Absolutely.
But I'm just saying we should be salt and light.
Right.
And we should have the highest ethic, the highest character, and the highest drive. Period.
Right.
That's not a personality thing. It's a Christian thing. So it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, the sneakiness of our enemy to make that an ultimate thing is so high, Randy.
And it's funny, in the secular world, they actually have a word for this. I didn't even know this until we started working on this. It's called the success paradox.
Okay.
You want to know what that is?
Hit it.
The very work that's required to achieve that, perfect family, freedom, often removes the parent, the spouse, the children themselves from the home where life happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
the very thing you want then becomes a problem in what you actually
want. So we just talked about be the best. However, a lot of that is we have the wrong view. It's some internally broken, and we feel like we will be successful if we get the promotion.
Right.
And we will, I mean, Randy, how many times in a pastoral situation have we seen a dad who was cheered on in the office, but absolutely despised by his growing children?
Absolutely.
So high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, let's not just pick on dads. It's really easy to pick on dads.
Yep.
But moms who over-identify with their children because they are identifying with the success of being a mother, and they don't have an identity outside of that. Like, it's the same thing. It's just in a different context. So I feel like it is so easy for us to take these good things.
Right.
You should be the best mom. You should be the best employee. But that all of a sudden defines success, because actually what's above that is the biblical mandates to love your wife, to love your husband, to care for your children, to disciple your children. Those things are true success. And so don't take the good things and make them the ultimate things.
You know, it's funny. We both live long enough now that when you talk to people, and we've done a couple of exercises with this in some coaching situations that we found to be very helpful. When we said, listen, I want you to literally write down the top 5 mountain highs of your life and the top 5 low points of your life. And when they do that and they have time to process, you know what rarely shows up? A lot of the successful good things that you would think we're striving for. Yeah. They're just not there.
They're not there.
Again, they're not good or bad. They don't move the needle.
Yeah. Again, back to the joy of being a pastor, being able to do people's funerals. All those things nobody cares about. Nobody is, like, they might mention, if they had a significant, very public job, they might mention it in the obituary. None of that stuff is mentioned.
Right.
Ever. And again, the person who lives successfully for their family and for others, those are places of celebration. For those who live for themselves, the room is eerily quiet.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows they were living for something else.
So fascinating. The last one, if since we're just in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah.
Ankeny and children.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it for a second, because absolute blessings from God. Good things in every concept.
Yeah.
But
children are a heritage, a blessing, some translations would say, from the Lord.
And so I had found this written, which I thought was really good. We tell ourselves we work the 60 to 70-hour week so the kids can have the $400 baseball bat, the spring break trip, and the college fund that's vested. We've defined parental success as providing a lifestyle our parents couldn't afford, which is a fascinating statement.
That is so true.
But there was a study that even came with a name. It calls affluent neglect. It suggests and showed that kids in higher income zip codes often feel more isolated and pressured than any other demographic.
I'm going to tell you,
Fascinating.
I didn't see this quote until just now, and it's powerful. When I was in high school, Edmond, Oklahoma.
Mm.
By the way, there's some things that you heard as a kid that might not have been true. Does that make sense? But let me tell you what I was told. Edmond, Oklahoma. And multiple times, I have said that Ankeny is the Edmond of Oklahoma to my Oklahoma
Oh, yeah.
relatives, like
Yeah,
to
yeah.
try to explain.
Right.
And when I was in
Parallels.
high school, there was an outbreak of cocaine abuse among high schoolers. And here was the reason: they were affluent, but they had serious brokenness,
Yeah.
but they had the money to go get those high-end
Sure.
drugs. Isn't that
That's
unbelievable?
fascinating.
Like kids
Yeah.
whose parents could provide them everything,
Yep.
but they had neglected like the relationship inside their kids.
Mm.
I'm not saying that's happening in Ankeny.
No.
I'm just trying to say that was 30 years ago, but
Mhm.
a demonstration of that very
It's the
point.
human nature and condition, and I hope you understand, and everyone's listening as we talk about the things that are easier to talk about and things that are hard to talk about. Our hope is it's just opening up aspects and areas of life.
Yeah.
God help me. God use me. Examine my blind spots. Examine where I
Yeah.
might not be willing to talk about, and that brings our last warning side. So we've talked about both the time frame. We've talked about some of the good things, the ultimate things, but the last one's just not being honest with your target. We're not being honest with ourselves or with others
Yeah.
about what we're actually trying to achieve.
This is, the insidious nature of sin,
Mm.
which is this: like we would say, "Oh man, I'm here for my family," but really you're here for your job and your promotion, or I'm everything we've talked about. It's
Right,
easy to talk
right.
about careers and all that sort of stuff, but we know that our target should be blank. And we hope that that's true, but the reality of our life, it's just when there's a disconnect of what we think it should be versus what we're actually living on a street level.
Mm-hmm.
And it is more easy to be two-faced in this and bifurcated than it
Oh,
is.
that's right.
Like I think by default this is true. We think that honoring God
Mm-hmm.
is the number one priority in our life. But go look at the priorities. Go look at your schedules. Go look at your money. Go look at your relationships.
Yep.
Go look I can tell you really quickly if that's really the target. And if we're going to define success, you've got to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm saying it's my family, but it's not. I'm saying that my walk with Christ is important, but you have no recorded space in the last 2 months where you've sat down in prayer and in the Word.
Mm,
You just got to be honest about what your targets are.
that's right. And if you don't have someone in your life, and again, if you're married, that should be your spouse.
Yep.
To a point. And it should also be others.
Yeah.
There should be someone in your life that can come up to you. If you don't have someone in your life who's saying, that wasn't a great decision on your time. That wasn't a great decision on your money. That wasn't a great decision.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, the flippant way to say it is you need to find new friends. Right?
Yeah.
Because we've all been in situations where it took courage for your friend to come alongside you and basically slap you upside the head and say, you're not being wise here.
Yeah.
And in fact, you're probably being destructive.
Yeah. So, I mean, the famous Proverbs is iron sharpens iron,
Mm-hmm.
right? So one friend another. But also fools will cheer you over the edge.
That's right.
So listen, a good friend, faithful are the wounds of a friend. But fools, they will just cheer you on to your death.
That's right.
So,
And if only we had a place where community, where people gathered together
know.
weekly
I know.
in a context to share these things. We have a name for it.
Yeah.
Connection groups.
Yeah.
That is why we do connection
Yeah,
groups.
it's exactly
this
why we do it.
very thing.
That's exactly why we do it.
It's so good. So hopefully you've heard from this some ways to redefine success as you look at life. What's your time frame? Are you looking at eternity? You're looking at immediate. Focus on ultimate things, or true ultimate things, not just good things, and just be honest with your current target. And that's just been so helpful, even us talking about it, Brent, in stages of life. It's going to look different.
Oh man.
But the concepts stay the same.
Yeah. The 20-year-old, when you're a 20-year-old single trying to get out of school, when you're, first starting your family, to you're in your 40s till you just retired. There's people listening to this that are going to be 70 and 80 and going, what's success when I don't have the energy that I once had?
That's right.
These three things still are going to ring true.
On a more practical level, as we are entering the season of Equip, there's an opportunity coming up. It's a very narrow. It's on just finances.
Yep.
But most people know my passion for that, my background, and if there's ever been a topic that needs a mind shift,
Mm.
an attitude shift, it's not that there's a debate of facts. Spend less money than you make. That's like
Duh.
been 1,000 years.
Yeah.
But the attitudes, the perceptions, the fears, the anxieties, we have an opportunity for you. So if you've ever felt like, we joke that your finances are managing you and you're not managing your finances, starting February 21st, is going to be our first session of Financial Equip. There's going to be 3 sessions, February 21st, February 28th, and March 28th. The first session is going to be on theology of the Bible and money. What does the Bible actually say about it?
Yep.
It's fascinating what people don't know the Bible says about money.
Totally.
Second one's all on budgeting, and the third one's all on investing. And so we're trying to hit the major areas. It'll be a Saturday mornings from 9 to 10:30 here. So KeystoneLife.com and Equip has the sign up there. So feel free to do that. But our hope is over the next coming months and quarters that we keep finding new ways to deal with these very things of success and parenting and marriage and life and how that brings into that. So just encourage and hopefully our people will find that useful.
Well, Randy, I went with my family to the last time you offered this. I know you're updating it and enriching it, but I actually went with my kids and took them
That's so cool.
to bring them through. So I would encourage you. Maybe you have a teenager. Maybe you're like, feel like I'm losing with money, or maybe. There's a million ways that this could be helpful, but this is a resource that is always has to have focus in our life. And so I hope you'll check out Randy. He'll do a great job leading you through that.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for being part of the conversation today. If you'd like to know more about Keystone in general, hear sermons, listen to more conversations, or sign up for Financial Equip, visit KeystoneLife.com. Until next time, keep the conversation going.